Jumanji is one of the greatest family films of the 1990s. And who can forget Bradley Pierce's performance as the younger brother Peter? You know, the one with the tail. We're here to show you what he's been up to since his Jumanji days. When you're part of such a beloved classic, it's bound to leave its mark on you for life. Bradley Pierce still looks back on his time on the set of Jumanji fondly, having been only 12 years old when he was cast. He knew even then that the movie was going to go down in history as one of the greats, he told iNews. I figured out really quickly that it was going to leave a really big mark, partly because Robin Williams and Joe Johnston were involved. These days, Pierce remembers filming Jumanji as one of the highlights of his career. He told Cherry Los Angeles, "Jumanji was amazing. It was one of my most memorable experiences of my life. Robin Williams was great. The entire crew was amazing. Joe Johnston, our director, one of the most talented people I've worked with. Lot of fun." For a good portion of the movie, Pierce's character Peter is partially transformed by the game into a monkey. The makeup required for the transformation took hours to apply, and young Pierce had to sit through the process every day for weeks, he told iNews. The monkey makeup was originally going to be 40 days approximately. It ended up being almost 70, and that was partially because the application process took nearly 3.5 hours, and then another hour to remove. The process wasn't just long, it was uncomfortable as well. I couldn't eat once the makeup was on because it would destroy the makeup around the mouth, so I was eating protein shakes through straws. Fortunately, Pierce had the support of the cast and crew, who helped him through the grueling process. He said, "They set up a TV that I could watch in the mirror. Ironically, we watched the entire Planet of the Apes series." Robin Williams also helped Pierce through the makeup application process. Like Pierce, the late Williams knew what it was like to have to endure hours of makeup application. The Hollywood legend kept the young Pierce company as he was having his monkey makeup put on, and gave him advice that sticks with him to this day. Pierce told iNews, "Robin would come in and he would sit in the makeup trailer and keep me company. He had gone through all of the various stages of prosthetic makeup for Mrs. Doubtfire not long beforehand, so being familiar with the challenges, he was able to talk me through meditations, ways to calm yourself." Pierce went on to add, "He was one of the most generous people I've ever met, not necessarily with money or things, but with his time, his energy, his wisdom. Most of the advice I got from him was related to being patient, being willing to wait, but working that whole time." He also said finding your own individuality and value was important. Not only was the makeup process grueling, but some of the scenes were also quite challenging to film. Pierce recalled one such scene to CBC Listen, telling the outlet that he once spent several hours a day for several days in a rain tank filming a scene that takes place in the middle of a monsoon. He said of this portion of the filming process, "We were all in wetsuits, but spending 8 hours in the water was really draining." As a child actor, the number of hours Pierce was allowed to work per day was limited, but the producers of Jumanji wanted to keep the cameras rolling at the end of one long day to save money. Robin Williams, however, put his foot down. Pierce said, "Apparently, he pulled the director and producers aside and said, 'No, we're not doing any extra time.' Williams speaking up for the kids on set worked, and they were sent home. As Pierce put it, nobody else could have stood up the way he did." Jumanji is probably the most famous of Bradley Pierce's roles, but it's really just one acting credit out of the dozens on his resume. A couple years after appearing in Jumanji, he starred in another book-to-film adaptation, The Borrowers. In the film, Pierce plays Pete Lender, a young boy who finds a family of tiny people living under the floorboards of his home. The film was a turning point in Pierce's career. Prior to this, he had viewed acting as a sort of game. But The Borrowers was, as he explained to Stencil, "the first project I had done after I had grown in maturity enough to understand that it was a job." Pierce relocated to London for several months to film The Borrowers and has fond memories of his time on set. As Pierce told Carpet Scenes, he would hang out with castmates, including Tom Felton, who would go on to star as Draco Malfoy in the Harry Potter franchise. He also found mentors and actors Hugh Laurie and Mark Williams. He said of them, "Both are very talented actors and were full of information and advice that they'd readily give to a youngster like me." Bradley Pierce looks a lot different than he did in his child star days. While even the biggest Jumanji fans might not recognize his face today, there is a pretty good chance that they will recognize his voice. Pierce has voiced a lot of characters throughout his career, starting with Timeless Tales from Hallmark in 1990. Some of his better-known credits include voice acting work in The Wild Thornberrys, the Lego Movie video game, and Kingdom Hearts 2. He also played Tails in the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon. His biggest voice acting role, though, remains Beauty and the Beast. Pierce auditioned for the voice of Chip in the film when he was just 8 years old, and he landed the part. At first, Pierce was only supposed to have one line.
Mama, there's a girl in the castle.
As the film progressed, however, his part grew bigger and bigger, and Chip turned into one of the most memorable characters of the film. When the reboot of Jumanji was announced, Bradley Pierce was not sold on the idea. He told TMZ, "A sequel, I would have loved that. I could totally get behind a sequel. Great plan. Kirsten Dunst and I find the game now as adults, right? We've got our own family, play the game. Could have been awesome." Though he wasn't on board at first, Pierce changed his mind after seeing the film. He told 2Fab, "I really enjoyed myself at the premiere, had a good time, and I thought that movie was really entertaining. It had some really wonderful moments and comedy and action that really worked. I enjoyed the performances, and it was overall a really fun experience." Despite enjoying the film, he didn't think that it quite measured up to the original. He said, "I do think it's missing a little bit of the heart that the original had. I think it's missing a little bit of that morality story that the original had, but it was a fun family adventure movie." While Pierce had some mixed feelings about the remake of Jumanji, he loved the remake of the other iconic 1990s film he starred in, Beauty and the Beast. As soon as he heard about the live-action remake, he recognized its potential. He told 2Fab, "Emma Watson cast as Belle. I was very excited about it. Thought she would do great with the character, and she did." He went on to elaborate further on why he viewed the remake as a success, saying, "I liked the visuals, I liked the comedy, I like how they answered some of the questions and closed some of the plot holes that were in the original. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done, and it was a lot of fun." Much like his former co-star Robin Williams, Bradley Pierce has also battled depression. Remarking on Williams' untimely death, he told TMZ, "He was absolutely an inspiration to me, just like he was to everybody else who knew him, and even so many people that didn't. Amazing guy. He'll definitely be missed." Pierce added that it was Williams' death that inspired him to finally open up to the public about his own depression diagnosis, which he had kept mostly to himself and a few close friends and relatives for years. He said, "I was diagnosed with depression when I was about 16, which was a few years after I filmed Jumanji. I've been secretly fighting it for a long time. I really played it close to the vest until Robin died, actually, and then I decided, you know what, I'm gonna try to use his death and the tragedy that it was to open up to people and put it out there, and so I did." The power of Jumanji is strong. So strong, in fact, that even Bradley Pierce's kids, who were born long after the film was released, are fans. He told 2Fab, "Both of my older kids have seen the original Jumanji. They both enjoyed it. I don't know if they necessarily grasped the messages of it, but that's okay. When you're a kid, you don't need the heavy messages or morality of relying on your friends and relying on yourself. It's just about having a good time." Pierce has 2 sons and a daughter, and both of his sons are involved in the entertainment industry, just like their dad. It was actually watching his dad in Jumanji that inspired Pierce's older son to enter show business himself, according to Pierce. After he finished watching it, he asked me if he could be on TV too, and I said we would give it a try. TMZ reported that late in 2016, Pierce and his wife were divorcing. The couple had been together for a decade. He told the Paparazzi Gamer, "We were going through some rough times the last couple of years. We did what we could to get ahead of it, but things get hard, and sometimes you can't keep each other happy the way you used to. So we gave each other a little bit of space. That space turned into a little bit more space." The split was an amicable one, but Pierce said that he doesn't think that he will ever get married again, even though he was dating again by the time the news broke. When asked about marriage in the future, he said, "I don't think so. I'm not gonna completely write it out, but it would definitely take something amazing." Bradley Pierce has been keeping himself busy since his Jumanji days, and not just in Hollywood. His talents go far beyond acting, and the star has a variety of interests and skills. While he may not ever marry again, Pierce has not been afraid to enter a different sort of contract with his significant other, Bella Luna, who is also a veteran of the show business industry. Together, the two actors co-founded and run a website called Pierce and Luna. According to the site, Pierce and Luna offers, quote, booze-fueled tales, bar reviews, and cocktail commentaries. The couple also creates their own cocktails and offers bartending services for parties and festivals. Pierce has also been showing off his formidable creative skills by creating his own content. The actor produces films and digital content through another of his companies, ZFO Entertainment, for which Luna also produces content. Most people would probably run away in terror if they encountered a real-life Jumanji game. After all, the game is terrifying and comes with a pretty real risk of death. People can disappear for decades, herds of wild animals can tear apart your house. Players even run the risk of being turned into wild animals. There's a reason that players of the game and the movie try to keep it hidden from other humans. Bradley Pierce, however, thinks that finding a Jumanji game would make for a pretty great adventure. He told the Paparazzi Gamer, even though, the stuff that comes out of it is intense and exciting, as long as you finish the game, it all goes away and goes back to normal. Knowing that now, hell yeah, I'd roll the dice. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more list videos about your favorite child stars are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.